someone that has struggled with lower back pain either during sport, while running, or in your life, I want to introduce this concept of a bucket of water and how that relates to your pelvis positioning and why that may involve a little bit different stretch technique, particularly for runners. So what I mean by that, well, first look here. If you look at this nice drawing that I made, we have a person who's looking this way. We have the neck, upper back, lower back, pelvis, lower extremity. So if you look at this individual, this is what we call open scissors. The rib cage is flaring, the pelvis is tipping too far forward, or anterior pelvic tilt. And if you think about this bucket of water would be spilling water out the front. Now if we go over here and we focus more on this parallel positioning between rib cage and pelvis, we can assume that this is, to the best of our abilities, that this is neutral lumbar spine, and within this example, the water stays within the bucket. Now this is an important concept that I use to explain lumbar spine positioning and ultimately how that involves stretching for some things in the lower back and lower extremity. So I wanted to introduce that concept. So we have the bucket, we have water staying in our bucket, good spinal positioning. Here we kind of have that open scissors presentation and we're spilling water out the front. These are the people that might start to get low back pain while they run, or they kind of have some chronic or long-standing muscle issues in the front of their pelvis. So I'll show you how to properly do the runner stretch with this bucket of water in mind. So if we're going to demonstrate a proper hip flexor stretch, staying with the example of the pelvis as a bucket of water, we're going to get in the half kneeling position, one leg's up, I'm stretching my right hip flexor. Before I start to move, a lot of runners kind of tend to do the runner stretch and they just blow by everything and they're kind of hanging out here on the passive structures of their hip rather than tucking their pelvis, thinking about it of a bucket of water, keeping that water on the inside and then slowly progressing forward. You'll feel this, and I want you to try this, you'll feel a more effective stretch as long as you tuck your pelvis underneath it, you think about it, keep that water in your bucket, and all I have to do is go to there before I feel a pretty intense stretch, as opposed to if I let my pelvis kind of go into that anterior pelvic tilt, spilling all that water out the front, I can get all the way out here and I don't really feel anything. So I wanted to first introduce the concept of a bucket of water and pelvic positioning, and then we kind of use that to develop a more effective hip stretch, and we'll talk about a hamstring stretch keeping with that same example of a bucket of water. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you.